First, cleared that hurdle and went all the way to pole position. As Jack Appleyard said to Bez in Parc Fermé, with a little bit of help from his friends, he was given a slight toe in reference from Pecco Bagnaia on his way to that pole position, but take nothing away from Bez, he had to do the lap, and to do the lap he did to pip Alex Marquez by 16 thousandths of a second. First time ever we've seen an Aprilia on pole position in poorly in inverted commas at 12.1 Marquez. His P4 equal.
Final corner for Pedro Acosta on the factory KTM, who's going to line up 7th. He'll head row 3, the 21-year-old Spaniard, but he was all in. If you joined us this morning at the conclusion of what was a royal nail-biting, thrilling conclusion to Q2, Acosta looked like he was going to be threatening the front row when he had a massive moment on the front end of the factory KTM going through turn 10. Ultimately, that cost him quite dearly. He will head row 3 in 7th. It was certainly spectacular to watch Acosta, though, tackle the Red Bull ring this morning.
Is he going to go all in the sprint as well? Of course, if there's anywhere that Pedro Acosta would dearly love to take a victory, then he sought to enter Grand Prix for the first time on board a KTM, it would be here at their home Grand Prix. There's Jorge Martin getting set for his third sprint appearance, of course, of the season. Qualified in 14th place, which was by no means a disgrace given how little track time he's got on board that Aprilia earlier on today. So Martin, I guess that is what put out to get himself into the points. That's 9th place, of course, in this
to a pole position here in Austria.
He usually parks himself up at the chicane, doesn't he, at turn 2, so we'll see if he's watching there trackside when the sprint gets underway. A sprint that will have 20 starting. Fortunately, news that doesn't come as a great surprise to anyone who's been following the story of Maverick Vinales through this Grand Prix weekend is that he has withdrawn from this Austrian Grand Prix, not able to do a run beyond sort of 5 or 6 laps really at any stage this weekend. The job for him in the sprint would have been to do 14. Vinales has withdrawn due to that shoulder pain. We will see him hopefully once again in Hungary next Friday.
Well, there are huge expectations, big expectations on the shoulders of Marc Marquez to deliver a 12th sprint win in 13 so far this season. Retain his undefeated record in sprints here in Austria. They fire away from 3rd and 4th respectively. Well, let's get some pre-sprint thoughts from the boss, Davide Tarnozzi, who's for Jack. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Yeah, good afternoon to everybody down here at Ace-Sun-Kissed Red Bull Ring Grid. Davide, those are the 2 big questions coming into this one. Firstly, let's touch on Mark. Obviously didn't go to plan for him in qualifying to end up on the 2nd row of the grid, but I'm sure he still fancies his chances here. His pace looks excellent this morning.
Yeah, he looks very good on his pace. I think that there are at least 6 riders that are fighting for the podium.
let's see what we can do. Good luck. Cheers, buddy. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Jack. Thanks to Paul Trevathan. He has been a star performer this weekend for KTM. Has the Michelin's got a top job in Bastianini has produced this weekend, because the Italian, somewhat surprisingly for the first time this year, is the top KTM qualifier. Fifth place on the grid goes the beast. Of course, he was on the sprint podium last time out in Brno with Costa, plying a lone throw. Sadly, Marek Vinales withdrawing for the remainder of this weekend, but I'm sure there are big hopes for a repeat of his Brno brilliance in this sprint for the beast. Let's get the thoughts on the boss. Herbert Punchwell joins Jack.
Herbert, top KTM for an middle of the second row of the grid. I have to say, he's my dark horse for this one. Is he yours?
Yes, since Czech Republic, the feeling is a lot better. We don't really understand why, but this is a fact. And since the beginning of the weekend, we knew we were, competitive. Very sad and pissed off, to be honest, on Friday night to miss the direct access to Q2. He did what he had to do this morning to go through Q2. Top KTM, as you mentioned. And himself are P3 and 4. So we don't know we don't have any real issue for resistance, at least on the sprint. It's going to be down to a good start, be aggressive enough in the first 3 laps as usual, and hopefully, we'll see him in this position, which is at least matching the one he has on the grid.
Fingers crossed.
Thanks, Jack. Yeah, just about 400, so 7 kilometres away. A sensational four-row start. Ideal times, which is when you put other riders' best 4 sectors together in the session. Well, it was a front row for Bastianini. It has been a miserable, it has been a shocking, you can't sugarcoat it. It's been a horror show so far this weekend for their lead qualifier is Fabio Quartararo in 16th place. Never looked like he was going to get out of that heavyweight Q1 session. His worst qualifying of the season, lowest point position for Fabio since Phillip Island. Just looking at Jack Miller there. If you're a Jack Miller fan, you might want to put your finger in your ears and put the old TV on mute. Because Jack started in 20th place. Nearly 10 years ago in Valencia, back in 2015. Alex Rins started to the goal of era 18th. It feels like it's going to turn the page job after this weekend for Yamaha. Get themselves to
he didn't have the opportunity to be in Q2, but by the way, it is the natural process to be again with our bike, and we expect in the next race to be more in the front also with him. To be in the front is surely an advantage, but it is necessary to take care in this circuit because the hard braking is so so crucial point that is necessary to manage until the end of the race.
Just looking at the lap times that we've seen throughout the weekend, it looks like Mark might just have a little bit on everybody else, but then there's 4, 5, maybe even 6 riders that very difficult to judge who's faster than the other.
Yeah, you're right. We struggle a little bit in the first 2 split, but seeing from yesterday, we have a little bit an advantage on the 3rd and the 4th. So we have to keep in mind this potential of our bike and take the advantage for the second part of the race.
Good luck, Paolo.
Thanks so much.
Thanks very much, Jack. Thanks as always to Paolo Bonora, baking hot conditions here in Austria. That was some shot, wasn't it? There's a whole bunch of GP legends knocking around the Spielberg paddock this weekend. Casey Stoner, we've seen Andrea Dovizioso's here, Danny Pedrosa, Valentino Rossi is here, and as he was making his way off the grid, just coming back onto the grid was his old foe and nemesis Marc Marquez. I don't think there was even a glance, not even a split-second look between the pair of them as they cross paths down in pit lane. The crowd are on their feet. They are hungry for more home success. Ducati, in terms of Grand Prix around this Spielberg circuit since we came back in 2016, have been dominant. 11 races, 9 wins for Ducati. The only times they have been beaten have been by KTMs on Sundays. Of course, Miguel Oliveira's first win for Tech 3, what a day that was in the Styrian round in 2020, and that unforgettable afternoon, the flag-to-flag drama for Brad Binder in 2021. They are the only non-Ducati Grand Prix wins here in Austria.
We're not expecting any kind of flag-to-flag action here this afternoon, even if there were 1 or 2 spots of rain falling at the end of qualifying 2 earlier on today. Can't say with great certainty that it'll be the same tomorrow. We shall see when we open our curtains tomorrow morning what kind of weather we're awaiting, because it is rather temperamental in this part of the world. Still 1 or 2 forecasts, though there might be some thunderstorms in the area tomorrow for race day, but the sprint is set fair for dry conditions.
Alex Marquez minus a sprint medal around his neck since the Dutch TT in Assen, 8th in the Saxon Ring, and he was out of the points, a long way out of the points last time out in Brno. Can he get himself back in that podium fight? He's got a great chance, second on the grid. Let's get the thoughts of his boss, Michele Massini.
Yeah, an excellent job by Alex this morning to put himself on the front row of the grid, but just looking in free practice too, and yesterday in the early part of the session, he didn't sound too comfortable in the rhythm. Do you feel you've been able to make enough progress right there at the front of this one, Michele?
I think that yesterday we made a clever Friday, because I think that we work jumping again on a MotoGP bike is not so easy especially in the Friday morning, but I think that today we show our speed. The first row is already important, so now we need to push for the sprint, and then we see tomorrow also with the long lap that we have to make.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck to all concerned. That was the racing. We should mention as well Alex's teammate Ferdinand Aldeguer, who's been a little bit on the radar so far this weekend, with an exceptional performance in Q2 this morning. Aldeguer back in row 2 in 6th place, just the 3rd time this season in his rookie campaign. He has qualified inside the top 6 on the wrong way and Silverstone. They want to make a ring of this from 355mm to cope with the excessive temperature that we're getting in the front disc around this Red Bull Ring circuit. Harsh braking zones into turn 1, into 2 and turn 3, and in particular down the hill into turn 4. If you're going to make moves, you're going to make overtakes in this Grand Prix, in this sprint Grand Prix, that's why you have to be very, very precise, because any kind of mistake on the front end, well, just to notice, I think that Pedro Acosta got over to, well, he's come down to the leading now. He's always been the pretty so he's now down to the leading. A couple of times where the KTMs, because they do like to make up time in braking, as we know how good the KTM is at stopping. So a late change. Acosta was initially going to go for the hard front, but he seems to have got with the majority pick. Medium front, soft rear tyre.
Of course, no real concerns over rear tyre life over the course of the sprint distance over 14 laps. Of course, that may well change tomorrow. Alex Marquez with his brother right over his shoulder, and Alex Marquez. Second, of course, in the World Championship. Yes, it's 120 points behind Marc Marquez, and he would dearly love to close that down. But really, from Alex Marquez's point of view, it's about managing that 48-point gap back to Pecco Bagnaia, who starts right next to him on the front row of the grid. Top three in the World Championship start fourth, third, second. They're all looking up ahead, and Marco Bezzecchi's a brilliant.
Mark has already done the business on Sprint Saturdays 11 times out of 12. He has not yet finished lower than second in a sprint so far in 2025. 141 of his 381 points collected so far have been picked up on Sprint Saturdays alone. To think that we're in round 13, he's dropped just 3 points on Sprint Saturday so far this season is just testament to how good Marquez has been in the short format on Saturday afternoons. We're getting a look then at the runaway World Championship leader, 120 points clear of brother Alex. He is ahead of this 14-lap sprint coming your way next live in just under 4 minutes time here in Austria. Front row then completed by Pecco Bagnaia, who's never lost a sprint here in Spielberg. Alex Marquez second in the World Championship on the middle of the front row in second place. But for the first time as a factory Aprilia rider, Marco Bezzecchi starts from pole position. Can he break the Marquez Saturday domination? Is set for what could be, or trying to launch himself towards what could be a sixth successive double win. He's won the sprint and the Grand Prix in Aragon, Mugello, Assen, Sachsenring and in Renault just before the summer break. That's why he finds himself 120 points clear in the World Championship. By his own admission, his own words, this 2025 MotoGP World Championship is now Marc's to lose. That has been his evaluation. Hard to really argue with that assessment. Bagnaia's tied to home as well. They have long since disappeared. They have long since vanished. It's all just about riding for pride really now in the second half of the campaign for the Italian, who has mentioned has a particular love affair with this Red Bull Ring circuit. What can Bagnaia do then from the head of the front row in third place? Can Marco Bezzecchi stop not just Marquez for his nomination in the sprint format this season? They have won all 12. And they've got to go all the way back to Catalonia last year for the last time Ducati were beaten on a sprint Saturday. 26 consecutive sprint victories for Ducati. The last time they were beaten was by a factory first lap by a long, long way. He's been passed already by Fabio Quartararo, who was 16th on the grid, struggling to keep himself at the moment inside the top 20. There's Bagnaia. Bezzecchi's lost the lead as well. Alex, it is that leads. Mark now immediately up from fourth into second, but an absolute disaster for Bagnaia from the front row.
That's Martin off at the chicane. Yeah, Bagnaia is going to come through the first sector way outside the top 10. He's down in 14th place, and as you say, it held up Aldeguer too. He's also dropped places. He's back into 8th place. It's the Marquez brothers away at the front with Alex leading Mark.
Yeah, and already Alex and Mark checking out at the front here of this sprint. It's Alex that leads into this tricky downhill braking zone into turn 4. Was that Binder going to go on the inside of Ralph Fernandez? He was coming through with Fernandez liked it or not. Quartararo's been ultra aggressive at the start of the sprint as well. Just look at the 63 on the left-hand side of your picture. Aldeguer, look, both of them almost in tandem, just pivoted to their left as they got massive wheel spin. The second they dropped the clutch on those Ducatis. And Bagnaia, as we mentioned, came on by far the worst here. Aldeguer, he only lost 3 places, down from 6th to 9th. Bagnaia lost about 13 places initially, down to 16th, back up to 40.
As you can see from that replay, the other rider who was really inconvenienced and disadvantaged by that was Bastianini, who's down to 8th place because he had to swerve around the factory Ducati of Bagnaia. The big winner was Acosta, who's now up into 4th place behind Bezzecchi.
So Alex versus Mark, that has been the story of Sprint Saturdays, hasn't it, throughout 2025. Acosta closes in on the uphill braking zone into turn 1, right on the rear tyre. Bezzecchi, look at that Bagnaia, lost 11 places after that nightmare start. Acosta aggressive on the inside of Bez. That's a lovely move. He's made that work beautifully on the inside of Bez into the starting 282V chicane. So Acosta now picks up the baton and tries to hunt down the 2 Ducatis ahead of him.
As I said before the sprint, only one thing in Pedro Acosta's mind: attack, attack, attack. He desperately wants to give KTM some success at home. Can he now chase off after the Marquez brothers? He's in 3rd place at the moment. He's got around 4/10 of a second up to Mark, who is still looking at his brother, not attacking him yet.
Bagnaia lost 3.4 seconds on the first lap alone after that horror start. As soon as he dropped the clutch, he was sideways, wasn't he, off the front of the grid. Aldeguer also had the same issue. Ralph Fernandez, who started the sprint in 9th place, well, he's already upperly mobile in an excellent 5th. This is another brilliant start to this sprint from the Trackhouse Aprilia rider.
On board then with Marquez as Alex gets a little bit wide there coming through turn 8, which gives Mark a run at him down into turn 9, but he's not prepared to launch to the inside of his younger brother from that far back, and they've got to keep an eye on Acosta, looking to close in 3rd place. It's still Bezzecchi 4th from Ralph Fernandez, and Binder, who's also been very aggressive early on, already up from 11th to 6th.
Boy, Martin having run off that chicane on the first lap, he's starting to recover ground. He's just picked up Mia for 15th place. Of course, that's a point in the Grand Prix tomorrow, not so in the short format of the sprint. Points going places down from 1st to 9th, of course. It's still Alex then that leads. Fastest rider on circuit, though, is Acosta in 3rd place. He loves that upgraded factory KTM, doesn't it? The new era, he says, has really transformed the turning of an RC16. A 139.9